never dreamed. You said that you're the first, not the last. So don't believe those lies and those illusions. They're lies and just illusions. Hey, young man, I see through your eyes and I can tell you the way you see yourself is how I feel you. Don't you know the stuff of what you're made of? Everybody listening, as long as you're breathing, yes, you have hope. And if you're down, the only way is up. Don't you know that he who's down needs fear no fall? God made you beautiful. He said it in his word that you're beautiful. And you go in places that you never dreamed. He said that you're the first, not the last. So don't believe those lies or those illusions. They're lies and just illusions. Hey, 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 don't believe those lies and those illusions. Don't you know that you are better, bigger and better than that? Yeah, God made you beautiful. He said it in his word that you are beautiful. And you will go in places that you never dreamed. Said that you're the first, not the last, the head, not the tail. God made you beautiful. Said it in his word that you were beautiful. And you will go in places that you never dreamed. Said that you're the first, not the last. So don't believe those lies and those illusions. Don't you know you're beautiful? Yeah. Me and my rugo, but my country. Because you're beautiful. Because you're beautiful.
Good evening and welcome back to Powder Room. This is Powder Room. For those just joining us for the first time, Powder Room is a private space in a public place where you can let your hair down, have honest conversations, gain uncommon sense, and get yourself together to face the world with truth, tact, and tenacity. This show is something we set up, five of us who have been friends for over 20 years. We come to you every Saturday at 7 p.m. to discuss a lot of issues that, affect everyone, very serious issues, and, share experiences and share, some counsel on how we can make things better. This is our ninth episode, and I'm not here alone. I'll be introducing my sisters. Okay, so let's see Ada the Sage. Say hello to everyone, Ada.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of the show. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm happy to be here today.
Thanks, Ada. Kara. Okay. Kara, the wordsmith.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to copy Ada and say, hi, everyone. I'm happy to say, okay, all right. My mom decided not to do it. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Powder Room.
Thanks, Kara. Ruthie the Prof, where are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ruthie the Prof, and good to be here again. Yeah.
Good to see you. Casey the Realist, hello.
Hi. Thank you very much, C. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. It's good to be here today.
Okay, so the truth is we're all smiling because, sometimes even when bad things happen, you just try to be positive and all that. Today we're wearing black and white because our hearts go out to all the victims of the Southern Kaduna killings. These things break our hearts daily, and it's really sad to hear what's going on in our country. So our hearts go out to all of you. We're throwing kisses to all the victims, the families, and all we can say it is, well, we pray that these things will stop very soon, and we're with you in prayers, you know. And bringing us to today's topic. Today's topic, there was a country. It's actually about Nigeria. 5 of us are Nigerians. I mean, and you know, this is our country. And there is a country is our topic. If you know, people are used to saying there was a country. There is a country in positive light. Nigeria. Nigeria, our Nigeria. So we're going to talk about Nigeria, you know, particularly leadership and national transformation. You know, what are the problems? How can they be solved, really? And who are those that will bring the solutions? How did we even get here in the first place? You know, these are questions we ask ourselves every day. And sometimes we whine, we complain, we're part of discussions. We see these things in the news, okay? And today, the ladies of the powder room want to discuss, you know, Nigeria as a whole. And let's talk about what kind of solutions can come to those problems. First of all, we're going to just, you know, talk about a few of the problems and some solutions that we're proposing and how we think we should go about those solutions. So, ladies, let's start with Kara, okay? But generally, I have one question for all of you, okay? How would you define the Nigerian problem in a few words, you know, and, you know, let's just start with that before we go to the solutions. Kara, over to you.
Nigerian's problem is like an octopus. He has one big head with 8 legs. So when you're asking people to say it in 1 word or 2 words, it's always very difficult because it's a very complex. Yeah, but just in keeping with that, I'll say 2 things. I think that our problem here is an absence of a shared vision and the integrity required to build the Nigeria of our dreams. Be very careful. Not that I didn't say hard work. I think Nigerians are one of the most hardworking people ever, but then just the presence of a shared vision where from the children to the adults, we all know what we're driving at. And then secondly, the integrity required to build it and bring it to pass. So I'll just leave that there. I know the rest.
Karachi is the most fantastic teacher I've ever met. Okay, so her children are blessed to have her as a teacher. So you just spoke like a real teacher and really, really very apt. Absence of a shared vision and absence of the integrity to deal with it. Oh, amazing. So let's go to Ada the Sage. What's the problem in Nigeria?
I really want to agree with what Kara said. I actually called mine and described mine this way as a hydra-headed monster. You know, Oku Nigeria there, baby. You don't know where to touch it here. It just keeps escalating. But I would say I want to align with what Kara said, but I will just add something extra. In my opinion, I think a major problem we have is national apathy. You know, maybe in other words, some might call it lack of patriotism. You know, national apathy in the sense that Nigerians will make every other place work any other place, as long as it's not within the boundaries of the geographical location called Nigeria. We will be law-abiding in other places. Things will work when Nigerians are driving into other places, but once it's within our own geographical space, it doesn't work. You know, I will tie it to what Karachi said, but I would just say that I think is a major problem. I feel we have national apathy.
Wow, that's heavy and is the truth. And thanks for that, the Sage. Okay, we're building it. Casey the Realist, tell us, what's the Nigerian problem?
I had to heave a sigh of, you know, I don't know what to call it, a sigh of, I choose not to use the word despair. It's simple. I think we have been plagued with ill leadership. You know, a great man once said, everything rises and falls on leadership. I have been within schools, different schools of thought that believe that it may not totally be so. But tonight, I want to borrow a leaf back from that ideology, that if there's anything that has plagued us the most, you know, it is the issue of leadership. And right in that element is embedded some other things, you know, that can effectively drive a people. You talked about a shared vision, you talked about us believing in the nation and all of that. It takes a strong, a solid leadership system to make those things, you know, obvious, to communicate those things, to make it known. So if there's a Nigerian dream, I mean, this is almost 4 decades on earth. I do not know it. Isn't that a shame that I do not know it? So there are many issues, and like Ada and Kara has said, you know, that diverts into different problems that we see today.
Wow, Casey the realist. That was heavy. We're plagued with ill leadership, and almost every problem is a leadership problem. And you said something. If there's a Nigerian dream, it's a shame that we don't know it. Same for me. If you ask me what's the Nigerian dream, I can't really say what the Nigerian dream is. So it's not that I was taught in primary school and I forgot. I just never have remembered what the Nigerian dream is. Ruthie,
it looks like there are a lot of sighs going around this evening because really, when you think about it, it's simple yet it's complicated. You know, the problem of Nigeria, and we've all said, you know, mentioned one part or the other of this hydra-headed dragon, like Ada says. But what I would add to that is, you know, kind of like it covers everything, is our value system, really. Because I found out that, you know, when we don't value the things that, you know, have value, so you put more value on things that are not of value. So you find us being materialistic, you find us, you know, valuing things over human life, for instance. And that value system really, when it's embedded, not just, you know, in the people, and it's embedded in the leaders as well. You know, they don't value the people they are leading and all that. So we get this confusion when we, like I said last week, somehow talking about one person. When we're talking about nationhood, you major on the minors and you minor on the majors. That when you prioritize things that are of lower value, there would be confusion, there will be, you know, mismanagement, there will be a lot of things that will go wrong. So I would say the problem of Nigeria, in addition to everything everybody has said, is lack of a strong value system. The strong value system, lack of it. As a people, in the leadership, as a people generally, values, our value system is weak.
Wow.
See.
Wow. So the octopus, the hydra-headed monster, our dear nation. You know, just in case people are worried, the way we started the show, we're not saying that this is the end of Nigeria. We're not saying that you know, it won't be better or there are no good things. We're just trying to describe, you know, the problems. Not that there are no benefits or there are no good things. There are problems, and you know, we cannot ignore these problems. You know, the it is well we say every day does not change the current situation. So we just want to identify these things. And then, of course, during the show, we're going to come up with what we think will be the solutions, okay? So now, in dealing with these solutions, ladies of the powder room, okay? I mean, we had a discussion earlier about this. We've been talking about Nigeria for a while, and we just said, okay, let's talk about it in the powder room, you know? And how do we even address the Nigerian issue in less than an hour? You know, so we said, let's look at the 7 spheres of the society. In some books, it's called the 7 mountains. of society. So I'll just list the 7, and I'll be inviting ladies of Powder Room to address some of them. We all are in this, spheres of society, okay? So there are religion, number 1, religion, in no particular order, because all these sectors are important. So religion, family, education, economy, government, some people call it politics, media, and entertainment. Now, let me just mention, the family is one unit that nobody can say, oh, I cannot identify with any of these things. Everyone was born into a family. Even those who are motherless babies and all that. There's the biological family, and then there's family where you grow up with. There's nature and there's nurture. So once someone comes into the world, you're here by nature. I mean, God is the one that created the world and nature. But once you start feeding, breathing, hearing, seeing, then you're formed by nurture. Okay, so that's the family unit. But I'm going to invite everyone to, talk about the various units, that we have. And so when I call your name, just tell me what units you're addressing and what you want to share. So let me start with Kara the wordsmith. So let me just mention, Kara is an artist, as in fine artist. So she's very good with art. She's a teacher by profession. She's also into media and entertainment. If I can mention some of your productions, Karachi, with your permission. Karachi and Dimbo Atia are the producers of The Sons of Caliphate, and some other, media productions. And Halita on DSTV. Okay. So Karachi, what sphere of society do you want to speak about? And we're talking about the proposed solutions. Okay. Kara, over to you.
Thank you very much, C. So we're not talking about the problems. We're just jumping straight into solutions, yeah?
It's both of them.
Both of them, because we all introduce the problems generally.
Okay.
So of course, talk about the solutions. You just address, yeah. Thanks.
So specifically, I'm going to be speaking on education, obviously. That is my bread, my butter, my meat, my drink. So in education, I would say this very, very key, well-known fact. The quickest way to kill and destroy a nation is to destroy and kill education. Because what you have done is that you effectively cut the next generation away from the tools that will help them build upon the shoulders of the last, yeah? And in Nigeria, the moment we began to tamper with that, there became a very sharp and instantly apparent decline in the quality of students, the quality of children, the quality of citizenry that we produce. I'm just going to quote somebody very quickly. They said the level, quality, and standard of education in Nigeria has witnessed a geometric drop in the past 2 decades. And this trend has made Nigeria the leading country of origin of students from Africa that migrate to other parts of the world in search of quality education. So what we have done by doing this alone, just the fact that people are going to other countries to get education, one of the things we have done is we have effectively outsourced the passing on of our national values and cultural narratives to other countries. Because if I studied in the US, I'm not going to understand what the Nigerians stand for, what's our passion, what's the heartbeat of our people. I'm going to imbibe the place where I studied. If I studied in Ghana, South Africa, in the UK, that's automatically what is going to happen. And so when they do even come back to Nigeria, you have people who, first of all, need to even understand the narrative, understand the people, understand the environment, the circumstances, before they can even begin to apply what they have learned here. Having said that, we're talking about the problems. And one of the things that I feel that the Nigerian educational system needs is change. I'm going to quickly share a very important change grid. We use it in education. You use it in corporate environments. You can basically transport it to anything. These are the different ingredients that makes change successful. Many times we use change as a mantra. Oh, we need change in education. What are the ingredients that bring about change? Number 1, vision. Number 2, skills. Number 3, incentives. Number 4, resources. Number 5, an action plan. And then change will become effective. If any of these items are missing.
Karachi, please name those 5 again. I beg you. Name them
Okay.
again, those 5.
This is called the
Awesome.
change. It's used in industries, not just education, but we apply it mostly in education to help measure what we're putting in and what we expect to get out. The first one is vision. The second one is skills. The third one, incentives. The fourth one, resources. And the fifth one is an action plan. And if all these 5 are in place, change now becomes a possible and successful process. If any of them is missing, what you get is not change. For example, if vision is missing, but you have skill, incentive, resources, and action, what you get is confusion. If skill is missing and you have vision, incentive, resources, and an action plan, because skill is missing, you will get anxiety. You can't tell me to start teaching on Zoom if you haven't trained me on how to do it. I'm going to be anxious. I'm not going to deliver properly. Number 3, if incentives are missing, like proper pay, a salary structure, things that, lights, things that make industries work, and you have vision, skill, resources, and an action plan, what you're going to get is resistance. Why should I put in an extra for me to get exactly where? Then the fourth one, if resources are missing, that's the physical manipulatives that get the work done, and you have the vision, skill, and incentive and action plan, what you also get is frustration. And finally, if action plan is missing, you'll get a treadmill. A treadmill is when people are like, just imagine you're on your treadmill, you're doing a lot of work, but you're not getting anywhere. That is what you're getting, and you're not going to get change. So until these 5 are present, oh my goodness, what we have is a mess. So in education in particular, if you check these things I'm talking about, quite a lot of them are missing, yet we sprout change. We talk about change in the educational sector. We're dealing with poor funding. We have a very large disparity between the public schools and the private schools, between the public universities and the private universities, between the quality of teachers that you can get in private schools and the ones that are teaching the masses. If you check the number of private schools to the number of public schools in Nigeria, it's almost a 60-40. And when you check where the leadership is coming from, so why do we think that we are okay with a 40% private school structure? What we're saying is okay because the teachers are being paid okay. I'm still saying okay, it's still not where it should be. And then we think that the products will be good. So there's poor funding, there's poor salaries, and with poor salaries, you cannot attract the best. You will attract the rest. Do you know that in Malaysia, in China, you cannot teach from secondary school upwards, except you have a master's in the UK. Without a master's in the UK, I'm not even saying a Chinese university, you cannot be a lecturer. You can't teach. That's the standard of education China has. And that's why today, if they spit something, you will buy it.
But we used to be the same. Sorry, Karachi, but even this thing you're saying now, if things were even, okay, that's even them. Remember when we used to have Ghanaian teachers in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Until we now had Ghana Moscow.
Yeah.
You get my point. There was a time when we even before even that happened, I remember that even during our parents' time, they told us then that it was the dullards who used to go to the UK to even go and study. And the people who, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Why do you even need to even have a UK standard education? Do you get,
No.
I know things have dilapidated, but I'm even trying to just say, just see how far we've fallen. Ghana was what we did not long ago. And the same Ghana has left us. Oko Nigeria.
I tell you,
Anyway.
Ada, in Nigerian educational system, we had a lot of expatriates coming even from African countries, from European countries.
For exchange programs.
Yeah, we're very comfortable having their children study here. But then that obviously went to blazes because I said Nigerians are going to Ghana. You did not hear that. That shows you how the drop is so
backward, in education.
Bad. And then you have POP curriculum, continuous professional development for teachers. Teaching is like medicine. You cannot sleep on your skills because the skills you had to train the children, last year. You can imagine I was training my kids in my class last year. If I didn't have the understanding of IT, how to deliver lessons online, how to make videos, media, I cannot teach my children on Zoom. So every year there's something new that changes the quality of teachers. And if you're not prepared to do CPD in education and just as a whole, Nigeria, you're already losing traction. It's like saying you're in one spot, you're rolling, you're moving backwards. There's nothing like being in one spot. Then of course there's corruption, low teacher standards. There's no technical education, adaptation and innovation centers. We don't train blue collar jobs. So there's no training for plumbers. There's no training for electricians. You don't get certificates for that. And so the person that comes to service your car can knock your engine just because they don't know what they're doing. And this is something education can sort out. There's paucity of quality teachers, post-school inspection protocols, where the inspectors are coming to school to check. Oh, Karachi, calm down, calm down.
Nigeria,
so I'm telling myself, calm down. You see, when they come to schools to inspect, guess what they're checking most of the time? They're checking register. Do you know what a register is? A register is where you take the children that are present and absent. How can that be the school inspection protocol? You've not checked the cleanliness of the toilets. You've not had conversations with the teachers. You don't know if they have the qualifications to teach. You've not had interviews with the children. Are you happy? Are you guys okay? Are you being abused? Do you understand? What are you learning? You don't enter the classrooms. You sit in the head teacher's office, you eat meat pie and take drinks, and you look at the register and the lesson plan, and from there you sign off and you go. You have a problem. You have a big problem. In invention strategies and flexibility, our students are not taught to think for themselves. They are taught to reproduce. That's why we have lecturers that will cook up notes from 2 years ago and think it still makes sense today. That's all part of the problem. Poor leadership and vision, and of course, an unrevised curriculum. Your curriculum should be evolving. It should be a living thing. It should change as the times and the ages change. Not one set. I can't even begin to tell you when last it was reviewed. And the review that was done actually from the Ministry of Education, beautiful review, very cogent points, but
6.34.
Zero. It was kept as a document and put aside, and nothing was done about it. So what are the solutions? In as much as we sprout these things, and we all kind of like know the problem of Nigeria, particularly for our own sectors, the issue now is how do we solve it? I'll be very quick about this because I've already, my time is already up, you know, but I believe in leading from the bottom down. So that means you do not need a what's that called? A name plaque on your door, on your table, for you to lead a sector or to lead an area. So the very first thing I'll say is start from yourself. If you're in the educational sector, these are some things that are, for you, it is ministry. All of these mountains, they are ministry. You're called to do it. And so you can't do any less. Number one, get creative. So you don't have the money, the school cannot afford to get the basic or the best resources. You begin to create them yourself. Create them yourself. Get cardboard. You can afford cardboard. You can afford markers. Begin to create the kind of visuals, the kind of teaching support materials that you want your children to get. Get on Google. Google is your friend. Anything you don't know, stop browsing Facebook and all those whatever. Yeah, have some social time, but spend more time in doing research. Number two, have a multiple stream of income. And this speaks to the fact that teachers are very, very poorly paid. Very poorly paid. Let me tell you, I had very recently, like 3 years ago, I had a salary cut of 70%. And I had a conversation with God. I said, God, we had a salary cut of 70%. What am I supposed to do? God said, how is that? How does that affect what you're called to do? So even though there is a cut in budget, what you're expected to do does not, should not be impacted. So basically, we needed to get creative with the funds that we had. My class, my home. Your class is your home. Start gradually to start building up the things that you want your class home to be like, the kind of resources, the kind of environment. I wanted to show you guys a picture of my class, but time is gone. If we do have time, I would like to show you people a picture of my class. Half the things there are bought.
Show us, let us see.
I bought it myself, and it didn't come suddenly.
Wow.
It came in pieces. Today I'll buy a chair, tomorrow I'll buy a throw pillow, because I want my kids to be comfortable. I want them to sit on, I don't want them to sit on these iron chairs and read a book. I want you to sit on a sofa, stay on a mat, you know, and then read whatever it is that you need to read. So there's my class. I don't know if you guys can see my screen. I'm trying to share. Hello?
Yes, we can't see it yet. Sure.
Oh, sorry. Let me. Okay, so yeah.
Enable share. Okay, can you see? Okay, great.
Wow.
So this is the picture of of my class.
Oh, wow.
Those sofas there.
Karachi.
I bought it myself. Leaves, I made it myself because there are no leaves. Things, murals on the wall, I painted it myself. Just so that the kids can kind of like have an environment they can come into and they feel happy being here and they're okay and your learning can go on, very well. Then I'll just rush through the rest. Be personally motivated to learn. Continuous CPD is not optional. Study to show thyself approved. So you must study. You must study. Integrity, especially when nobody is looking. And then get your own teacher. Take ownership. If you're an apprenticeship, you want to learn photography, whatever it is you want to learn, and there's no school for it, get your own teacher. The person that everybody is following today, T.Y. Bello, let me not say she didn't learn it in school. Her very first year and training in photography was under one Baba in Yaba, a very old man, but a very well-known photographer. So if you want to go after something, don't be comfortable going with the skill. Going with the talent, get the skill and build these things for yourself. Don't be a poor teacher. Take initiative, whether you're a school owner or a teacher. Pray, and then be a reflective practitioner. Judge yourself so that you're not judged. If your class didn't go well, write why it didn't go well, of course, and learn the things you need to learn. I'm sorry I've taken so much time, but I'm so passionate. Thank you, guys.
Wow, yes. Karachi, I just didn't want to cut you off because not only is your passion obvious, for me, education, we can't really rank it higher than the others, but it's really key. And because of the season where we are now, the COVID-19 situation, with the challenges in education, homeschooling, teachers not earning, I just felt it was very important to hear everything you had to say. So thank you very much for that, Karachi. A lot of teachers will be inspired by this video, although some of them will be beefing you because your class is still fine. But on a serious note, Karachi, thanks for that. God help us in Nigeria. I will just go quickly to Ruthie the Prof. Tell us what sphere of society you're addressing and how do you want to propose solutions to the problems?
Okay. Okay, so you talked about the sphere of the family, and I'm going to address that. I'll start with that because they taught us in social studies long time ago that the family is the foundation of the society. And really, when we look at society, it's a reflection of what's going on in the family. When you look at society, you can just tell what's going on in the family. And I don't need to say what is wrong, basically, because I've mentioned value system. And I think when you think about parents now, and the kind of children that are being churned out into society, sometimes you cringe when you hear some things that, our children are doing or, some young people are doing. And you wonder, does this person come out of a home? That's usually the first question that comes to mind. And so I'm not going to say so much because we understand what the problem is. The value system, what is being taught is kind of warped now because it's just like people are even giving birth to children that they know they cannot even take care of. Because you have a responsibility to raise that child right. The good book says, train up a child in the way they should go and they will not depart from it. So when we talk about nature and nurture, a child comes into the world, he comes the way he is, with the nature he comes with. But if there's a system in the family running, a training system, a solid training system, that child will get into that nurture, that mold or that system where the right training is given to the child, the right values are embedded in the child, and that child is able to go into society molded in the form he or she should be molded in. So I'm just going to basically I've talked about family being foundation, and I just want to talk about the two aspects of foundation, because when we are talking about the solution, we need to understand what makes up this foundation of the family. And in my book, I wrote about the foundation of the family, and there are two aspects. There are two parts of that foundation. It's the foundation of connectedness and then character. So the connectedness part is the ability of people, of a child, to be able to connect with others, to be able to relate and recognize others as valuable. You understand? So a child comes in, is connected to the mom, is attached to his dad, and then in a functional family, that child is able to build connections. That child is able to relate with others. That child is able to recognize others, not live in a silo and you don't know that there are other people. So that child is kind of like whole, because psychologically they know that they belong somewhere. So that connectedness is there. But when you see someone come in and there's no one that takes up that child to be able to show them that, look, we function in community. We are made to function in a community. If that child doesn't understand that, that child will grow up and be, into a selfish person, no recognition of others and all that. And it will just be a mess going on. The second part of the foundation, which is very, very key, and which that molding part, it's very key, is the character part. And there are 6 aspects of character. I will not really delve too much into them, but I'll just list them. There's attachment, that thing about being able to, attach yourself. It's part of character. Being able to come into a place and be able to function within that community is an aspect of character. Responsibility, very key. A sense of responsibility, response to ability. You have this ability to do something. Contribute it, bring it to the table, bring it in. So if a child is not taught responsibility, if a child is not taught consequence, that there's something called cause and effect. If I do something wrong, there's a consequence. That child will not build a sense of responsibility. Also, reality, helping a child understand. Children grow up, some people shield their children too much, but a child needs grit. A child needs to survive in the world. They need to know what is up in the world. And then if that child is too shielded, he will not understand what is available, and they will not be able to process some of the things that go on and make the right decisions and know that even though this thing is going this way, I need to be able to process what is right and choose the right way. There's competence, which is ability to do things, increasing your knowledge, increasing your skill. Karachi talked about skill being one of the aspects of change. Skill, a child should be from the home, cleaning the home, all these things they do in the home, those are skills. That's where the foundation of skills are built, because they know it's something I can do, and it keeps getting refined and refined. And as they refine it, education helps refine it further, but they need to have that foundation. Then conscience, that one is so key, because people do things to others without conscience. When someone cannot have that sense that there's something wrong with the sense of right and wrong, it affects society. People do things, and we say things like they're obedient, so that's your heart is turned backward. So you wonder where this thing, so that conscience is important. And children come with it. Something tells you there's a sense of right and wrong inside, embedded. So if you continue to violate it, it is destroyed. And some people have over-violated it and it's now destroyed. Then we have worship. See, the recognition and the understanding that there's somebody that is watching you is one of the keys that will helping people to live right and stay right. So if it's not embedded from the beginning, there's a problem, in society. And then I added something because I got it in reference to another text, but I added service. That thing called service is a part of character, knowing that you have an obligation to serve. If you do not serve, you don't have the right to lead if you cannot serve. So service, leadership, service starts, every leadership must start with service. So there's a lot of things to say, and I'm not going to go into it, but character is a sum of the abilities to deal with life as God designed you. So ability to deal with life. When we don't know how to deal with, issues in life, that means there's a problem with character. And then you are not able to relate and recognize other people as valuable. There's a problem with your connectedness. And once that thing is off, the foundation of that person is off. Another sphere you talked about, which I won't go into, is the religion sphere. And I will not go into it is because religion was set up, basically, is set up to be like a complement to what is going on in the home. It's not something different. Is what is going on in the home that should be replicated in any religion. So if we are doing something else, apart from these things called connectedness, how to relate with others, and then how to live as God designed you, and how to serve, how to work, and all these things. We are off as a society, and we need to get back. So what, I won't come and start saying church is for something else. What we have said, church family is for, that's what the church is for. I won't come and bring any other thing. All these things teach the person how they should live, recognize others as value, have God's value system. God's value system, he comes first, and then man comes second, and then his law comes third, then systems come fourth, and then things come last. Don't put things above men. Don't put material things above men. You have lost it. A man is more valuable than a phone. I know people who have killed people because of phone. That is the wrongest thing that can ever happen. If a man, you know what a man is, God created. No. We need to watch that. So God is the source of everything. Man is the image of God. And then the law is the way to do things, to keep the order of things, God's order. Systems are the settings that should put people in order. And then the things are the fuel. Material things are fuel of systems. They are not the priority. It's fuel. Like, you know, wood that you burn for fuel, it's fuel for the machinery of creation. Material things are the fuel. So let's get this. And when we understand it as a nation, I know we will start to build ourselves back to the order that God ordered from the beginning.
We praise so. Thank you, Ruthie the Prof. Karachi, you wanted to jump in, before I make my comments?
And she lists those values. She listed 5 things, and she listed how we should put the value system. So I'll just ask
value
you
system
again. Yeah.
Okay, I can. So in God's value system, God ranks highest. God, he's the source of everything. So he ranks highest, the creator. So man is second because he's created in God's image and likeness. In fact, God, part of God is in man. And then he created laws to govern creation. So those laws govern creation. That's the next thing. So we should consider law, above material things. How is the order? And then the next in the scale of things is systems. So systems are, setups that laws govern. So you set up something, you ignite the laws of those things. For instance, now this nurture, if a right training system is set up, it's the laws of training that you use that, works those systems. And then things, material things, like the land where you build a factory, for instance. That is the land, the money that goes into the factory. That system, that factory system, is the things fuel that factory. And then they are built for man. They are built for man.
Thank you. Wow. Ruthie the Prof. I wish we had 2-3 hours on this show, but we don't. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, connectedness and character, the way you broke it down is awesome. And I like the way you tied the sphere of religion into family. That's, it starts with the family and the religious arrangement or sector is supposed to just, solidify what is supposed to have started well in the family. So I was just thinking, Nigeria today is a product of Nigeria of yesteryears. What happened in the family, what happened in the education system, what happened in the churches, the mosques, everywhere. The product we have today that we're identifying the problems of is a product of yesteryears. So before I go to that, I also wanted to mention that, what you said about conscience, sense of right and wrong, and it's the fact that the way we don't value life. So if we talk about the killings and all the things we've seen, it's because people don't value lives.
Yes.
That's why people can go into killing, abuse, and all sorts of atrocities, because we don't value our fellow man. It's a really serious problem. It's not only a Nigerian problem, but it's really showing so much in Nigeria in the past few years. It's been showing so much. And who do we blame for this? Is it the government? So Ada, can you tell us what sphere you want to address? What problems you want to propose solutions for? Ada, the stage.
But I'm still asking the same question. Who is the government? Because you're asking that, should we blame the government? So, okay, only about government. So if we're even doing government 101, we say we practice the democracy, right? They said government, a democratic government is a government by the people, for the people, right?
Is a government of the people,
for the people,
by the people.
By the people. So
Awesome.
in a nutshell, government is equal to people. It's the people. And that's why every time we have an election, we are still going to select leaders from our midst. You know, we're not going to import leaders from anywhere. It's still us who are the leaders, who are still going to form this critical sector of government called the leadership. Truly, like Casey said, everything rises and falls on leadership, you know. And of course, in Nigeria, we have 3 tiers of government. We have the legislature, they make the laws. In all honesty, you know, because when we talk about these kind of issues, I always like to take a back seat and just look at things objectively. Is it that the laws we have in Nigeria are not good laws? There's a lot of debate as to, our constitution is this. That's not the point. But let's even check laws, you know, that we have generally. Is it that the law is wrong, or that the way these laws are implemented is the problem? So the legislature is there to make the laws. The executive is there to implement it. And then the judiciary is there to act as an arbiter when there is something wrong. But when all these 3 systems are infiltrated or are dysfunctional, society can't work. So it's not the laws that is the problem. Let's enter the executive part. I was trying to check something online. Who is the highest employer of labor in Nigeria? I actually found out that Dangote had even taken over, but they said the highest employer was actually the Nigerian government. And it won't be a lie, because government has so many parastatals. In case you don't know, if you work for any government parastatal, you are part of the executive, because you guys are the ones who are implementing the law. So in the airport, there are customs officers that are there. There are drug and NDLEA officials that are there. There's police on the streets. There's you working in SEC, CAC staff. So when we are complaining about people who are collecting bribe, who are the people collecting the bribe? You know, everybody just says it's government, because it's always easy to point the finger and say it's government. When we think about government, we just think about the ministers and the people we, you know, who are occupying those exalted seats, forgetting that government manifests at different levels. What are the people that distribute tracts on their desk, but they're asking you for a bribe as they're about to board the flights? You know? So all these vices that we see in society, who is the government is the question. Now we be the government. Tomorrow we're going to do another set of elections again, and we're still going to come back and still pick leaders from this same group of people, which is why I liked the things that Ruth and Karachi were talking about, education and the family system. So if we know we're never going to ever import leaders, it means that we have to go back to our nucleus to start seeing how we can raise a different crop of human beings, because this current set we have now, there's nothing that can change. Like they said in Igbo, you don't learn how to dance the waist dance when you're old. She's been dancing it from the time she was a young girl. Do you understand? So that part has gone. The issue is, how do we go back and start raising a new crop of people with a new set of value systems that can look beyond themselves and see that there's a national good that should go around? You know, one of the, just because we're looking at, you know, error, and we're also looking at solution and all of those things, I was thinking about something I read. Solomon said, he said, how did he put it? He said there's an evil he saw under the sun, you know, that looks like, he said folly is set in great dignity and the rich sit in low places. And you would think that the rich he's talking about are people, he's talking about very wealthy men. He was actually talking about people who are rich in experience. I mean, when you look at it in context, people who are rich in knowledge. In Nigeria, that's not what we want, because our value systems are wrong. We exalt people who don't have those things just because of our immediate satisfaction, and despise people who have knowledge. A lot of intellectuals that should be in the right places, but they don't get in. But I also said that even when they eventually get in, the system, which I'm still saying, because the crop of the people running the executives are corrupt, because a minister can only do so much, but if his PAMSEC and all the other people following are funny people. They can still come up tomorrow and still encourage or make the system so difficult for the person to work. That's the effect, the leavening effect that righteous, a good person is meant to be like yeast in bread. By the time you introduce it into bread, it's meant to leaven the whole bread, but it can't do it because there's no enabling environment. So what we have is a structural breakdown. So then you look at the judiciary. Cases go to court, but there's no justice. We don't want to even go into all of it because Nigerians know what all these problems are. But I'm just saying that who is the government? That is where I want to come from. And the government is you and I. We need to go and ask ourselves certain questions. We need to look inwards and see what we can do. Who is the government? Government has bylaws, clear your gutter. People come out, drink pure water, squeeze it and put it inside the trash. And then they say it's government. Is it the government that will come and pick up the pure water? I saw somebody drinking a bottle water one time and he flung it out of the window. And I was like, oh, God. And the man gave me the 5 fingers and the middle finger on top. And he was going to work with his wife wearing a tie. This is supposed to be a respectable person in society. So everybody's finger is always pointing at other people. And who are they pointing at? Government, Abuja. That's what we always think. But when we break it down, so in terms of solution, what I would say is this. People like aiming for the top, like I said, without working at the base level. We live in estates. I had I always bring it down home. We moved in when we lived in one of our estates in Nigeria. My husband, for example, took it up as something he could do to take care of the security of the estate. And he did a fantastic job with it. Revolutionized the whole thing. And that thing even made the value of properties in that area skyrocket because that place suddenly became safe. Yeah. No funny pranks with security people, no collecting money by the side. When there's time to collect estate dues, no fear or favor. You're meant to pay this, please pay. Don't, even if you come behind with all these stories, but everybody is paying, so pay. In Nigeria, we have sacred cows. We can't apply the law to everybody. Everybody is not equal before the law. So the law is not the issue. The legislature, they might have their issues, but even the laws we have on ground, what are we doing with it? Because everybody says it's Abuja. So in your own estate, what are you doing? You can get involved. Student union government. My pastor in school was quite active as a student union leader. We have those groups. You can get involved at that level. What change can you bring within the space, with the 4 walls of the community that you are controlling? Before we start, every finger we point, 4 fingers point backwards. So who is the government is my question. We are the government. There's more that we can do. Do you understand? So you are in sexy airports everywhere you are. Are you discharging your duties? Because you are the federal government at that desk where you are functioning. Universities, they're also implementing government policies too. Those ladies who are eating, that won't allow you, that won't sign your clearance form for you because they want to finish eating their eba and soup and tell you, go away, come back next week. That's the government office you're occupying. So who is the government? We. Now we, the government, we are the ones. Abuja has their own problem, but we are the government. So my own solution is everybody should look inwards and do what they need to do. And then your own children at home, what values are you teaching them? If you teach the children the right values, when is election time in the next 10 years, 15, 20 years, it is our own children of today who will be the leaders of tomorrow, because this crop we have will do their own cycle and go, So, yeah.
That's the stage. Structural breakdown, the enabling environment for these problems to continue. There must be a change. And now we'll be the government. Now we be the government. Awesome. Thank you very much, Ada. And, it just goes to, comments in the chat room on YouTube. We're seeing everyone who has joined us on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. And we really appreciate your comments. Let me just take one of the comments from Oge. She says, to lead from the bottom up, how do you get people to go the extra mile like you did at Karachi? She was talking about Karachi, the wordsmith. Most people are tuned into the WIIFM channel. Do we know what channel that is? What's in it for me? It's about me, stomach infrastructure, what I want, what I need, and like Ruthie the Prof said, you have no business in leadership if you've not done any service. So we're going to go to the realist. Let her drop it like it's hot for us because we must find those solutions. And, I hope everyone is taking notes. And like Ada said, you are the government. What are you doing? It's just like Nigeria is asking every one of us a question. What have you done for me lately? Casey, the realist.
Wow, wow. I mean, this has been very, very, heart searching. While I listen to Kara speak so passionately about education, listen to Ruth, listen to Ada, I wondered again what we really can do with this energy, that is being sent out from this room tonight. Permit me to deviate a little. I hear Oge Taiwo's question. I guess Kara will take that afterwards. But permit me to speak to our collective conscience as a society, our collective state as a people. Kara, when she showed that classroom, I mean, I gasped when she showed that classroom. While that is awesome as an individual, I believe strongly that the interaction between individuals, the private sector, the state civil society, and the government is what will get any economy to where it ought to be. If there's any challenge I have seen clearly with us as a people, it's not even, just us doing, what we ought to do, like Ada was emphasizing. It's also our ability to also hold the government accountable. We cannot finish this conversation without talking about the issue of accountability, holding the government accountable for the things they have said. The leaders are chosen from amongst the people, yes. And then after they have gotten into that place, the onus rests on them to ensure that the responsibility required of the office that they sit in is carried out. And so this thing about people, making jest of the things that we ought to mourn over as a nation is something the Nigerian youth should stop. It is part of the problem that we see today. Nigeria is not scarce of resources. We're not bereft of human resources. I still say it time and time again. If there's any problem we have, it's even, the problem of excess resources. The same problem, highlighted about the rich man's son, the capacity to squander. If there is anything we have learned to do maximally, it is the capacity to squander. And many times I see that, in places where you do not have scarce resources. Just like when you have people that are very talented, they have the tendency not to learn more. They have the tendency to be careless. They have the tendency to be indisciplined. Why? Because they believe that they have it. Look at Nigeria as an oil-producing nation, as against a nation like Luxembourg, whose GDP ranks high in the world, if not the first, the last time I checked. They are not an oil-producing nation. But how come they have a GDP as high as they do have? Look at a country, right? Like the likes of Japan. These people do not even, know anything about arable lands where you can farm and all of that. Yet, we have not properly maximized the ability to process. And you see, you cannot be talking about effective outputs on the radar ranking amongst nations that are poor. We are about 134 out of about 192 countries in the world. Look at the position that we take. A country that has all these kinds of resources. And so what it simply brought me to is channeling our problems into two major things. The ability to process. You have input. When you're not able to process it, when you're not able to convert, you cannot have the requisite output. And you see, that is what is seen clearly in our human capital development. Kara was talking passionately about education. 13 million children as we speak today, and even counting, are out of school. That is how many nations of the world put together. If we talk about Canada as a nation, it is about the size of Lagos State. If you talk about Cape Verde, a nation in Africa that has about 500,000 people, it's just about a local government in Lagos State. And so when you have 13 million people out of school, 13 million children of school age, I mean, automatically it tells you that that nation is going nowhere. This is not even something you say you begin to pray about. It is something that while we have the necessary input, just like prayer will serve as an input, there need to be processing. The same processing is the reason we have a poor production capacity. I know we mentioned here this night that Nigerians are very hardworking people. Yes, we cannot take it away. But please, can you also explain to me the mystery behind, while a nation like Canada, I keep referring to Canada because, you know, Ada is a Canadian, you know, in quotes now. I keep referring to, would you explain to me why a country that has about 37 million people will have a capacity of $1.7 trillion, and a nation like Nigeria with over 200 million people? I have had these arguments in different sectors where people will tell me we're 180, and I said we are 200 plus. That is, if we're not even already hitting 250 or 300 million, we produce only $450 billion as GDP. That GDP, you have organizations like Apple, like Amazon, matching up to that GDP. What does it say to us? It says that our ability to produce as individuals is low. You know, Kara does not do it. Kira, you know, running up and down does not do it. Kara was mentioning, and she talked about skills. The ability to do work efficiently is not based on the input you have, maybe the talent you have. If you have not been able to process it into a skill that can produce something efficiently, something that is usable, you will go nowhere as a people. And so if we begin to look at processing, which is what nations like China, nations like India, who have, you know, human population like we do, have done, and we have seen it move them. When I was talking about nations that do not have arable land, I forgot to mention Singapore. Singapore does not have an arable land yet it's a first world nation, meaning that if we plug in, you know, if we plug in the machinery of processing, turning things from their raw state to a state of efficiency, we will have the results that we desire. The entire globe has moved from a labor-based economy to a skill-based economy. Little wonder they have those kind of results they have. We are still based with the labor economy. Ruth is in this room tonight. We have many friends. They are in the HR sphere. When you see the way we recruit, when you see the way we hire people, when you see the way we measure business performance, you would know that we do not yet reckon the fact that skill is what is required. You see someone with a big bag of certificates, he can do nothing. I sit as a commercial director in a firm, and you know, you experience frustration over frustration because you see people, you know, with big titles, big credentials, yet they cannot process a simple document. They cannot process it. The second thing that if we need to begin to look forward, if we need to move ahead, that we need to look at critically is the issue of efficient management. It's one thing to say I have processed all that it is that I have. The next thing would be, are you efficiently managing it? And that is why we sing about corruption in this nation, you know, like a, is it lullaby or like an anthem? Corruption, corruption, corruption. The name that it ought to be called is the ability to efficiently manage. When you steal, you're not efficiently managing. When you squander, you're not efficiently managing. When you're not able to utilize, you're not able to optimize resources, even when you didn't steal it, you are also not efficiently managing. That is why you will have a nation like ours, and you have students in school, they cannot receive bursaries, they can't receive stipends. I still remember that back, you know, while I was in the teaching hospital in school, you know, there was a time we were receiving bursaries from our state. You cannot experience that today. You go to nations like the UAE, you see that individuals have allowances that they depend on. They have stipends. So it's not an issue of, oh, if we do that, it's going to make the people lazy, or it will make them, you know, not productively deliver what they are supposed to deliver. And that boils down to the value system that Ruth has been explaining. That if we're able to put these things, you know, in place, we're able to check again. When we think about a value system, what exactly is it that we have before us as a nation that serves as a guide? Ruth talked about the law. She talked about systems. She talked about structures. Those systems, what are they churning out? If we talk about the educational system, Kara mentioned the curriculum. What is it churning out? For the ones that are even in school, we talk about the home. What are we churning out? I've had to withdraw my child from school because some kind of secular, very vulgar music was being played. But you know the funny part? Parents were the ones snapping the children. There were parents in that place. Not only were their children poorly dressed, they were the ones snapping. So I looked like the odd one. So what are those, those buckets, those systems that mold? What is the religious system churning out? What is the church churning out? The last time I checked the Holy Book, there are still basic principles. The scriptures calls it the weightier matters. It talked about things like equity. It talks about things like justice. It talks about things like truth. Those systems are they, propagating those values. And if they do not churn it out, values cannot, they cannot be in, they can't be vague. You can't catch them in the air. It has to be like a mold, that takes people from point 1 to point 2. So if you ask me, it's also not a walk in the park. It's not a dash. It's a marathon. Many people are expecting that we look at Nigeria today, we just press 1 or 2 buttons and we turn things around. It may not be so. This is something that probably will take a decade or 2. It took us a decade or 2 to get to where we are, to experience the level of decay that we're experiencing now. But if we can go back to the drawing board and look at nations, the reason I mentioned that the issues of processing and efficient management is that for many of the countries we're also pointing at, it's not as though some of the things that plague us do not plague them. For example, corruption. There are countries more corrupt than Nigeria. But what are some of the other things that they have also put in place that is making them have a thriving economy? So, see, I may not have said, I'm speaking on economy, but some of the things I have said, is borders around that particular sector. So if we can begin to look again at our ability to process, our ability to churn out, we look again at our ability to efficiently manage, not be wasters, not squander, effectively utilize resources. Part of effectively utilizing resources is even us as individuals. So all of this jesting and all of this joking, and eventually, when we begin to do these things, we will be able to hold the government accountable. Accountability is key. We cannot leave them and say we should all begin to probably do, on our own. There would be a limit when we get to a particular point. In fact, scalability will be stunted at some particular point. There's just a limit to which we can go as individuals. The collective unity, the collective work, the collective effort of us as a people, especially as regards holding the people that we have given offices to accountable, will take us far.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Casey the realist. Okay. Our time is up.
I know. Can I say something, please? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't want to cut off. But you see, and just furthering what Casey is saying, these conversations, we have some of the most brilliant people. Is it that we don't have people who know these things? We have them.
We do have them. And that the challenge is that when you do not have an enabling system, when Ruth was listing out, she talked about systems, right? And that's why I'm reiterating, that we cannot work as individuals. We cannot just say, okay, we probably want to work in silos. It's required that you have an enabling infrastructure. The reason you have Nigerians thriving in different parts of the world is that they have an enabling system. They have the enabling infrastructure to pull through. And so you see us, come out. You see the best of us come out. We cannot all be in diaspora. As at today, you have 15 million Nigerians and counting in diaspora. If we all run away, who will the nation be left with? Who will we leave the nation for?
The leader.
Who will we leave it for? We can't all run away. We can't all run away. We just have to wake up, Kara is laughing. Are you laughing at me or laughing for me? I'm passionate when it comes to, our ability collectively, to say this is what it has to be, than shy away and begin to create cartoons and very useless animations and very useless things describing. Look at the issue of the NDDC. That made me to mention it. Why will we turn that to a joke? Why can't we all arise? If we all arise, how many are the people in government that are plaguing us? You saying that if 60%, if 50%, if even only 20% of the young people in this nation make demands that are required, In different sectors, you hear people come up with beautiful articles, white papers, documents of things to implement. It cannot function well in a failed system. Meaning, we need to get the system right.
That means that we
yes,
look for a savior. But the issue is because this thing you're talking about will require high level of sacrifice. The sacrifice to do the right
that was
thing.
going to identify that. Yeah, you're very right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. True.
And that's spot on.
Said, it's about
that's
sacrifice.
really that's really spot on. That's really spot on.
You know, to tie up everything everyone has said, because of time, I'm going to go to the YouTube comments. But Casey, really, I'll just say, you know, what you said about collective responsibility and accountability. You know, we have said everyone has a part to play. Ada said, now we be the government. But guess what? The government that Ada has described, the three arms of government, there are people there. We are paying our taxes. There are funds to do certain things, all those incentive and infrastructure that Karachi talked about, Kara the wordsmith. We must, even in saying what is my role, part of our personal roles, our individual roles, is not just do our own part where we are, but also a call for those who we have given leadership positions to play their parts. Collective responsibility and accountability. So when Karachi was talking about what she did in her place, she's not telling you that she's not in places where she's calling leaders to do things. I know all these, my sisters personally, and I know that while we're playing our part, we're also advocates in various groups. It's just that there's no time to mention everything here. So like what Ada mentioned is sacrifice. Who is ready to die for Nigeria, really? Who is ready to die for Nigeria? But guess what? If you do not make the sacrifice today, death might just be lurking in the corner somewhere. People have lost their lives for nothing. I mean, I saw a post yesterday. You know, it was, I think, in the Dimuneli that put up a post, or someone who used to intern, you know, in her organization. A young, pretty lady crushed to death by a tanker that fell on a bus at Ojota 3 days ago. Avoidable death. All these killings, very avoidable. So people are there. People are there, you know, chopping Nigerian money, you know, doing all the corruption. They're even training their children on how to do these things. What it means is that the voices of reason are in the minority. And like Chrissy said, we are majoring on the minority. When will it change? So let me go to the comments in the Powder Room, and I'll give us a charge on what we've agreed, Powder Room ladies, to tell our viewers to do in the coming weeks. Okay. So comments from the YouTube page. So Carolinda says you must study as you can only give what you have. You know, she was referring to what Kara the wordsmith said. We've addressed Oge's comments on what's in it for me radio station that everybody is tuned into. We need to sacrifice. Okay. Jaria talks about, yes, we should hold government accountable. This is something people always say. We should hold government accountable. Guess what? How do you hold government accountable if all you're doing is lamenting your bedroom when you're watching African Magic? Is that how to hold the government accountable? Or when something happens, a senator is NDDC is fainting, then you now do a comedy skit. That's how we're holding government accountable, by posting on social media and making joke of things that we should hold as heavy. Or is it the senator that they said has just been acquitted by the court after there's a video where it was obviously, well, what are we talking about? And people
let me even interject. My late granddad was a politician. He was the deputy speaker of the Eastern House Parliament in Michael Opara's time. I remember he told me a story before he died about when one of the times they wanted to exercise the right to recall. You know, it is in our constitution. When we talk about accountability, we're talking about recalling leaders. If you elect someone and he's not doing well, you can recall him, and there's a system to do it. And so this guy was not performing, the person who they wanted to recall from the legislature, and they sat down and had agreed on what to do. But between point A and point B, personal interest and interest came into the whole picture, and that was how that whole thing was aborted. The reason why, like I said, we have the system. It is the human people driving it. People always don't want to come out to protest or fight because they say to themselves, if my brother enters power, it will be my own turn. Make one name by name, I will get contract. So everybody has this one day go better because it will go round. Now the person where they chop now, tomorrow if my brother enter, me too, I go chop. So until that death thing occurs, I'm just saying, because if we want to talk about accountability, there's a system to do it. Our laws, what we have now is enough to even make the country work. But can we just rise up and do the right thing and sacrifice our own personal interests? So every time you're doing something, you should be asking yourself, is it for the collective good or is this decision because it's going to benefit me? Stomach infrastructure. Remember when that word became, you guys remember when we had stomach infrastructure gist because of, I can't remember, one of those governors in the South, something happened and everybody called it Amala politics. That's what I'm sorry, I'm just trying to say.
I understand. Kara, you were trying to say something while we're rounding up. There's so much to say on this topic, really. We cannot continue the way we've been living our lives. If we want Nigeria to change, we can't. Kara, you want to say something?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Thanks, Kara. Okay. So from you two, let me just mention one more or two more comments. Learning World, welcome to Powder Room Learning World. You've made a lot of comments. One of the things Learning World has said is a lot of times we bemoan the truth that Lebanese, Chinese, and people from other countries come into Nigeria and thrive. One of the factors responsible for this is high cost of funds. Yeah, very true. Now, so Oge responding to Learning World is saying what you have said is true. The system has a way of frustrating the efforts of well-meaning citizens. Our value system needs to be overhauled. Really, really true. Dover Foundation says very accurate. Individual mindset shifts is what will create a collective change. That collective change, that collective responsibility and accountability as we round up. So ladies of the panel were saying, okay, we've gotten to a point where we all know sacrifice has to be made. We all know I have a part to play. In playing my part, I'm doing what I can do in my small office, my small streets, my small resident association, my family. I also need to hold government accountable. So we're going to challenge you, okay? Hashtag more action, less talk. What are you going to do regarding these issues in Nigeria? Just do a post on social media. It could be Twitter, it could be Facebook, it could be Instagram, it could be LinkedIn. Do a post, say, I commit to, and you finish it up with a few sentences. You can refer to Powder Room's show, tag us at Powder Room Chats, okay? We'll be posting our different social media handles in the chat on YouTube. So tag us, say what you want to commit to. We've mentioned all the spheres of society, okay? What do you commit to doing? And the hashtag is more action, less talk. We must sacrifice for Nigeria. The solution to Nigeria's problem may not, happen in one day. I mean, when someone says that, oh, they have to kill all the leaders and kill everybody in Nigeria first to come with a new Nigeria, should that be it? I don't think so. It might take a while, but if we start today, then the change will be sooner. If we keep procrastinating, we will not see the change. And so everybody has a part to play. And this is where we wrap it up for today's episode of Powder Room. Next week, we're going to go very practical and we're going to talk about home hacks, things that you can do at home to save money, to recycle, to do all sorts of things. So home hacks from the ladies in the Powder Room. I don't want to give you too much information. Follow us on our social media pages. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. And you will get, the hype towards next week's show. So we'll see you next week at 7 p.m. We're all going to say goodbye. Please do something for Nigeria today. If we were in a group sitting together in one room, I would have said, turn to your neighbor and say, what will you do for Nigeria today? But I'll just say, hashtag more action, less talk. Let's make Nigeria a great nation again. Bye. Let's say bye to everyone.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day.
See you
Thank
next
you for
week.
joining.
Thank you for joining. Bye.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Why are you all repeating? Thank you for joining.
We don't want to go. Bye.